Hello, my friends. Welcome into the house here on Puckin Deep. And today we're going to be getting in deep on the Philadelphia Flyers, and it's the interesting directions that they may go after the break here. It's basically, I would say, right after the break, the trade deadline starts. And they're going to have some interesting decisions to make. I have my take on what I think they should do, and my take on what they may do. And with us, of course, is Ron from R&J Media, the one who has put all of this together so we can have a puck in deep and many other things that he's doing. He's got Prospect Watch. He's got great stuff going on R&J Media. You got to check out his Prospect Watch stuff, man. It's fantastic. So, yeah, we're going to be looking at that. And as it says in the title, I am specifically going to be looking, we are going to specifically be looking at what might be considered by many the best player on their team in Konecny. Yeah, I mean, yes, I know, but a lot of people would consider him the best player on the team. I'm however you want to put that. However, we made different views and all that kind of stuff like that. But he's the highest
Yeah.
scoring. He's their highest scoring player, and he's been there a while time. He just signed a contract. Anyways, we're gonna get into it. So, Ron, how are you doing, my friend? Have you enjoying the Olympics so far?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Not only am I enjoying the Olympics, okay, which have been phenomenal. The watching all the other games, Canada whooping up on France and Denmark versus Latvia and not only that, but also the full slate of USHL games that are going on with Chicago Steel, with Muskegon Lumberjacks, the national development team, and that league has just been on fire. Not to mention the fact that the NCAA and then earlier this week watched the Bean Pot Championship. So I mean,
Mm,
it's all been nothing but hockey. I mean, everybody's like, okay, the NHL is not playing, but so what, right? The OHL, the WHL, the USHL are all playing, right? The NCAA are all playing right now. Okay, just watched Penn State. Now they lost their series to Michigan, but then came back there at the end to win a game there at the end. But still watching some Penn State hockey and some NCAA hockey too. Was watching some Quinnipiac a little bit earlier today too. So I mean, just because the NHL isn't going on doesn't mean there's not hockey.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Flow
lots of
Hockey
hockey
today
there.
did the Muskegon Lumberjacks versus the Youngstown Phantoms for free
Nice.
today, right? So yeah, that's what I was watching that game too, right? By the way, Muskegon won that game too. You know what I mean? So, uh, but I really like we kind of talked about this off air, and we've talked about this over the last couple of days. Oh, and by the way, you have got to go over to the YouTube channel and check out the Puck in Deep that we did with
Oh yeah.
Lyle Richardson and the Rumor Mill.
Mhm.
Man, that is just some of the best stuff going because we know Puck. And
Mm.
Lyle and Perlo on that show, oh my gosh, man. Look, you got to go over there and check that out,
Yeah,
okay?
just go over to Perlo's NHL POW. I have it. I just shared it again today. Just go
Yep.
down and hit that link or
Yeah,
go
baby.
R&J Media Sports, search that on YouTube and you'll find it there too. I could actually put your link. I'll put your link in the description after we're done.
Yeah. All right, cool. Cool, cool.
Okay.
But
All right.
but
So let's get to it. Let's get right
let's get
down.
to it for sure, man. I like it. I like it. So we've talked about this, and there's been some rumblings from Konechny, like at press conferences, where
Mm-hmm.
he's expressed his frustrations
Mm-hmm.
about where the team is and
Mm-hmm.
where the direction that the team's going and how he fits into that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he has expressed his frustrations about what's going on. And you know what? Can you blame the guy?
No.
Right? He just signed what a large contract for
8 years,
multiple years,
8.5
right?
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
He's committed, and he's all happy that the team's committed to him. But what's going
Yeah.
on, Perlo? Why do you think? I'm very intrigued about this whole concept because, like you said, people think that Konechny's the best player on the Flyers. I would argue on that to some extent, but you're talking about trading away the best player on the Flyers again? I mean, how many times have the Flyers done that with, like, say, Mike Richards and who's the guy? His name is escaping me right now. Number 77.
Carter.
The,
Carter.
yeah, right, Carter, right? Traded them guys away. They
Carter.
eventually traded away Drew.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually traded away Voracek. They eventually, you know what I mean, right? So here we are
Mm-hmm.
again, Philadelphia Flyers rebuild, quote unquote, now. And now you're talking about trading Konechny. All right, I'm listening.
Yeah. It's tough because he just signed the contract, and I don't know what the energy was when they were doing that contract because you know as well as I do, you're closer to the Philadelphia Flyers as I do. Would you do a lot of reporting in that area and all of that sort
Yeah.
of thing? And it's your team too. So I would you agree with me that going into the signing of Konechny and going into this year, uh, there's been like some mixed messages about
So the
what the team what they're really going trying to do here in Philly. I you know I wonder if there was kind of a mixed message that was going on with Konechny before they signed that contract, or it's possible that Konechny thought he was in it for the long haul, and he is now realizing that long haul might be a lot longer than he anticipated, and maybe even the Philadelphia Flyers as well. Like they might have been saying, "Look, we're trying to be relevant and a perennial playoff team within 2 years or something like that." And he's like, I love it in Philly. If that's where we're going, I want to stay here. All of those things like that. And they even give him the NMC, the no movement clause, and everything like that. But when you look at the makeup of this team, and they probably should have been able to see this before it ever started. They're very thin on D. They don't really have all that much scoring depth throughout the lineup. You got Zegras, you have Konechny. Noah Cates is a gamer, and Couturier is doing the best he can with on his hanging by a thread body.
right and Tyson Forster out.
Tyson Forster out is huge. Let's
Yep.
face it, that is absolutely huge.
Right.
But
Owen
there's
Tippett
still
has been a pleasant surprise, but not. I mean, his production has ticked up, and he seems to have fit in nicely with a Rick Tocchet system.
yep,
And he is shooting the puck a little more, and he's putting the puck in a little more,
yep,
but still not where we think he could be.
right. Yeah. And this is the way I see it. They got a lot of guys there that are Tocchet type players. They got Cates, you mentioned Tippett, Forster when he's in the lineup, Brink. These guys are 3-zone players, and that's what he loves. And Konechny is the one black sheep in this. Well, Michkov right now, but I think they
right?
believe in Michkov to turn things around that way. I think that they believe he will progress. First of all, come to camp in shape, for the love of God. You know how hard it is to play an 82 game season as a kid when you are in shape, let alone when you come out of shape. My gosh, man. First of all, first and foremost. But secondly, we were talking off air. You would say, I think you said that, in some ways, Konecny is a leader. Could you expound upon what kind of leadership abilities he has?
Well, he's part of the leadership group in Philadelphia. He's got an A on his jersey.
Right.
Okay. And I look at him more of not necessarily somebody that's going to speak up, but that he's more of like, because he learned under Giroux. And Giroux
Mhm.
was one of those kind of captains that he led by example. He didn't say much. He let other guys on the team who were more vocal say things to you, but he led by example. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see Konechny kind of being and the the whole vibe when he got re-signed was there was this whole talk at that time where potentially he could go somewhere else because he was originally looking for like 10 or 11 million dollars a year as an AAV, right?
Mhm.
And quite frankly, I don't think anybody was even sniffing that kind of money for Konechny. And the fact that he took the deal that he did, you know what I mean? Right? So that doesn't really bode well as far as, well, gosh, you kind of appease the player, but really you kind of strapped yourself and you now you committed this guy who wants to win. And I mean, it's, I don't know, man. I wasn't a fan of them re-signing him for as long as they did for the amount of money that they did, because I don't think he's worth that kind of money to begin with. I would have been more like in the 6 million and maybe 5 years instead of 8. But hey, this was a Danny Briere deal. He was the one that did this, so now it's basically his bed and he's got a lie in it.
All right.
You know what I mean? So
All right. I put this up here for a reason.
oh, okay, cool.
You know I'm an analytics guy.
Yeah,
This is
man,
from
I'm down.
JFresh Analytics. I'm not promoting this for any financial benefit except for how much I've made from his analytics model, JFresh, in my professional handicapping. I'm a professional handicapper, specifically on hockey. And his analytics model has been absolutely awesome for me. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. I've said some things on Twitter and he's never responded. So I'm not doing anything for that reason. I'm doing this because these are fantastic analytics. So
And how you doing, right?
he's got an A on his shirt. I think Travis Konecny is a guy who has a lot of passion. I think Travis
No
Konecny is
question.
a guy that is very passionate about the team that he's on, and I think he's probably a great teammate off the ice in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
yeah,
But you're paying a guy $9 million. You brought Rick Tocchet in. Rick Tocchet, we've said it before, is a guy that, well, is no problems letting you be fancy dancy in the offensive zone as long as you can get into your spots. Um, and this little red number here, you see here,
yep,
2%.
yeah,
And this has been for 3 years running. This is when Tortorella was there. When Tortorella was there, he was harping on Konechny about defensive
yeah.
responsibility in all three zones, all of those sort of things like that. He did it for about, I think, maybe a year, not even a year, and then you never heard anything about it. And I thought, wow, Konechny must be. I should watch to see if Konechny is improving. I watched. He didn't improve. This is a guy who is a great motivator as far as getting people riled up in the room. But if I have a leader, ain't no way you got this. Ain't no way. Ain't no way you're flying the zone all the time. You're taking offensive risks that put your team in jeopardy. I love his offensive skill. He's a great offensive player. He has a ton of passion in the offensive zone. He fights for pucks in the corners, and like eye test wise, when people watch him, they love him. But when you watch his overall game, it leaves you a lot to be desired. And if you are trying to build a team under Rick Tocchet, if Rick Tocchet is your long-term answer as a coach, this guy ain't going to be there. I'm sorry. So whether you're going to do it now or you're going to do it later, this guy ain't going to be there. And you know why Tortorella stopped saying anything about it? Because this guy just doesn't have the mind to do it. He just realized, he just shrugged his shoulders and said, he doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He doesn't have the IQ for it. He doesn't get it. Only thing he knows, heavy aggressive in the offensive zone, and then I'll try to skate back. And he'll say, Coach, I skated back as hard as I could. And Tortorella's like, you don't have to do that. Listen to what I'm telling you about positioning in the offensive zone. I don't care if you skated back as hard as you could. If you were way behind the play and you didn't have to be there. But he doesn't get it. He won't get it. Either he's stubborn or he's just not that bright. He's an extremely good offensive player. I think he's smart like Puck. But he's very good in the offensive zone. Offensive zone. He hasn't got it for years, ever. He's never got it. And I personally think that what happened when they signed him to that 8-year contract, I think the model, you can have guys like this, okay? You can. If he was younger and he was growing with the team, you can have guys like Nylander in Toronto. I mean, you got Rantanen. He's like that. He does that. But everybody else has to work hard for him, get him the puck and all of that, and realize that that's his role and that's the way he's going to be, and not be frustrated by it and all that kind of stuff like that. Now, the good thing about Konecny generally is he's very appreciative of his teammates, which is good. That helps. If you're going to play that way, you better be appreciative of your teammates, which is I just think that the overall model of what this is going to be of what this team is going to be is I just don't see him fitting, dude. I did not at his age at 29 years old. Like this team's not going to be ready for 3-4 years.
Right. And what I mentioned earlier about hearing some of his frustrations in some of his press conferences about wanting to try to win and still trying to, put it on every day to try to, go out there and be the best that you can be. But, losing wears on people, and when you do it long enough, at some point you're going to be like, okay, I don't really care how many years you sign me for, how much money you sign me for. I'm really tired of losing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's 29 years old. What has he won in his career so far?
Right. Nothing. And he's more than likely, if he stays with the Flyers, not going to be able to see anything. I don't think he'll be able to stay for the entire length of his contract. I think that the length of his contract was bloated, and the amount of money that he got was bloated for being basically a passionate one-way player who can put pucks in the net, but is still a negative guy. He's still on the ice for when the other team scores.
2% defensive awareness, dude. That is like what's funny is you got a guy like Carlson in Pittsburgh. People say like he should be a forward or whatever like that, right? Because he basically, and this year, by the way, you know what? He's 50% above expected defensively. He's having the best defensive year of his career. I mean, unbelievable. But before that, absolutely, no doubt about it. But I would say this applies to forwards as well in certain situations. And when you've got a guy that's supposed to be a leader and you're trying to build a team that looks like they're trying to build a team under the model of the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, these cup winners that basically did not have guys like this. They did. Kucherov, even Kucherov is, but he's given the go to be able to fly the zone when he wants and stuff like that, and doesn't totally play that 3-zone defensive game. But you're talking about an elite offensive player that makes up for it. You know what I mean? This Konecny is not
he's putting up
elite
30 goals a year, and he's
100 and some
90
points
to 100
and stuff like
points a
that.
season.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Konecny's an 80 to 85 point guy if you let him play
maybe.
that role. And you know what? He also doesn't play against elite competition. He's at about 78%. He plays a little bit sheltered for a first liner offensive role. So somebody here.
Let me ask you this, Perlo, okay? With that, and everybody knew all that, how do you justify signing this guy to this contract?
I mean, there's lots of he's very popular with the fans.
That's okay, but
so you got the sponsorship shit and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
I seriously think Philadelphia thought they were going to be better than they were, quicker than they were. I really do. That's what I think.
Yeah,
that's what I think. They were going to be better than where they are, quicker than they were. They were being very positive, and they gave them this very positive message. But the Philadelphia Flyers are not close. Rick Tocchet, like people are saying, fire Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet has done freaking amazing stuff at this team. Look, this team shouldn't even be close, man. Not even close.
Yeah, they're 7 points out.
They're this. Do you know that this team, the Philadelphia Flyers, are the third best shot suppression team in the league?
Yeah,
third best shot. That's coaching, my friend. That is coaching.
The fact that we held the best team in the league to less than 25 shots in each of the 2 games that we faced Colorado.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Look, there's been improvements. Marked improvements. The power play is still in the tank. The penalty kill is still not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Although they're a great shot suppression team because everybody blocks shots, but their defensive game still is poor.
They're a weird shot suppression team. I will give you that. It's not the kind of, you don't want to be a strong shot suppression team and spend more time in your own end and then the offense.
Okay, right? See, that's what's going on.
But the fact is, they still are. So somebody said that Couturier doesn't care in the chat here. I would not say that. I couldn't. No. Where would you say that? The captain doesn't care. You got anything on that? He's just done, dude.
He's working with what limited tools he has.
Yeah, talking about a guy. He gets 54%. He's 96% even strength defense, though. I mean, he's still a damn good defensive player. Is he? He's not a $7.8 million player anymore, but he's definitely a solid third liner if you can play.
Yeah. No, and they've been putting him with some better players. They've been trying to give him some better guys. They teamed him up with Mitchkov there for a little while, and and that kind of stuff. And I like that they're putting other guys down there with him and rotating guys around to kind of help him a little bit. He's on like a 29 game goalless drought or something right now.
His offense dropped after the injury quite a bit. He just doesn't seem to have the offensive. He can drive a play, but I don't know. He doesn't seem he doesn't have the foot speed to get into the spots anymore. But he's still extremely intelligent player. Like he's very good. He's a guy I'd want on my team to help those kids grow into what they're going to be.
Right.
I would say that. But now getting back to Konecny again, the tricky part here I find, I think, is it's probably going to be a summer thing where you sit down and say, look, you know what, you signed this contract. We understand your frustration, and be honest and just say, we thought we would be a lot better quicker than we are. But when it comes right down to it, um, it looks like we're 3 4 years away from being relevant, and you're going to be like 33, 34. You haven't won your whole career. Go home, talk to your wife, really think about what you want in your life right now, and maybe come back, give us a bunch of teams that you'd be interested in moving to. We'll try to get you into a contender right now so you have a chance to win a cup. But you got to help us out, make sure that we get a honest return for your offensive abilities. And we'll work on it over the summer and we'll see what we can do. I really think that's what they should do in this situation, because I just can't see Philadelphia getting that. I could be wrong. They could turn it around quicker than I think, but I don't see it. I think the defense still needs a lot of help. It just actual defensemen. They still need a lot of help.
Yeah.
And they need scoring forwards, which is funny. Konecny is one, but I think they need
centers.
more and centers more than a right winger who's a one-way player like Konecny. Right?
We don't need wingers. We got wingers at the wazoo. Here's going to be the problem, though, Carlo, with Philadelphia, even for just next season. Okay, you've got a very, very underwhelming, underperforming 7th overall draft pick in
Yeah.
Luchenko. Okay.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't make the team this year,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he was sent back down to juniors and then was traded from one junior team to another, and still hasn't been that quote unquote superstar dominant player like they were hoping that he was going to blossom into.
Yeah, I don't know where they were hoping that to happen from, but yeah,
that's not happening with Jet Luchenko. Okay, it's not.
He's a third line center.
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. The other issue is going to be the other draft picks that are still not ready yet. Like, I quite honestly feel that Denver Barkey should still be playing with the Phantoms, but due to injury and need and trying to win, they brought him up and they're keeping him there. You still got Bump. You still got some other guys that still need more cooking down in the AHL. Okay. And the other major issue that you need to address is your backup goaltender. And is Vladar going to be able to sustain as a number one goaltender? He's never played more than 30 games a season, and he's slated to do at least 50, not to mention the games he's playing in the Olympics. So, I mean, Philadelphia, if they really think that they're going to be able to win now, are drinking the wrong Kool-Aid.
Well, the only way they do it is they have $35 million in cap space, and they just start signing free agents now and build
but
free agents around the court.
Who? Who you bring in? Right.
That's a good question. Like I'd have to really look at it.
Right.
There are some,
maybe, but you need center.
But the thing is you need a center bad. That's going to be a tough ask, and almost always, like, it's not too often you get your center from a trade or free agency.
That's right.
It's almost always through the draft. It's almost always. And I think if you're wanting to, like, if you talk about our idea of trading Konecny, highly unlikely you're getting a number one center in return, unless you find some diamond in the rough. Like I was looking, I know Montreal's been wanting to guy for their right side up there with Caulfield and Suzuki. But I mean, if you're going to play with those guys, Caulfield right now this year just absolutely found his complete game. He's not just an offensive guy anymore. He's found his complete game. And so has Slafkovsky. And it looks like you bring in guys like Dano for reasons like this. That's what you need to win today. That's
Exactly.
what you need to win. So if
Yeah.
you're bringing Konechny in, you're bringing a guy that's going to be like your Verhage is in Florida, where you
Yeah.
just everybody knows that guy can't play D or shit, but he can be that big score the goal in the big game and stuff like that. And
Exactly.
you could get a captain in, you could get Reinbacher, maybe Reinbacher, a first round pick, something like that. That I'm just saying that's one option. I'm not sure if Konechny would waive to go there, or there's a lot of things that would go with that. But you're going to have to draft it, and as you were saying, if you're going to have to draft that guy, you got to draft a guy like that. And you just mentioned one where they didn't do that, and they haven't done that. The last one they didn't do that. You need to get them. You need to get them through the draft because they're not going anywhere without him.
I
I don't care
mean,
if you got Konechny or don't have Konechny. You're not
right. I
going
mean, now
anywhere without
you
a number one.
you did get a Porter Martone, but there and again, that kind of
He's not a center.
he's not a center, right? And that
Yeah,
maybe fuels the trade of Konechny because he's a winger, and you know what I mean. Like
right.
maybe he's the one guy. And look and see, I've talked about this on our Prospect Watch show many times. You have to draft these kind of guys, and the only and it's unfortunate, but the only way to get some of these really good draft players in the NHL is to number one, a pick in the first round, number two, pick in the top 10. Because once you
You
get
can.
past
It's a greater.
10,
It's a greater chance. It's a greater chance.
right? Once you
Mm-hmm.
get past 10, right? The percentage of those players significantly drops off that are going to make the team or whatever the case is. Now, Philadelphia picked Jet Luchenko 7th overall, traded up for him. He was not even on any of my lists of anybody even
Yeah.
remotely that the Flyers should have even he wasn't even on a list for any other team. Jet Luchenko, right? For his draft year,
Mm-hmm.
like he was just a kid that came out of nowhere, right? And now after seeing his body, look, I'm not trying to be down on the kid, okay? But he is not worthy of a 7th overall draft pick. And you need to hit on these guys more so than not. I mean, you got a
Yeah.
Mitchkov who's gone through his sophomore slump, right? You're going to have a Porter Martone that's going to come in maybe next year, hopefully. You got a bunch of guys that were drafted the last couple years that are still trying to work out the kinks and still trying to learn things. So you don't really have a lot of guys waiting in the wings that are going to be able to take over and be the scoring and be the centers and be the defense and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You still have to draft those guys.
Right. You would know more than I do because I don't remember. I've predominantly only seen him play right wing. Do you
He played
remember how good he was he on the left side?
I've mostly seen him play on the right side. Very little did I see him play on the left.
Yeah.
Um, he played in the Four Nations, but he didn't even play all the games there, and he was fourth line winger, so he didn't even get a lot of time during that game. And when he did go out there, I mean, how much impact on a game are you going to get when you're only getting 7 or 8 minutes a game? You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yeah.
it, he was picked for the international team, but he didn't really play much and really wasn't a factor. And I was really kind of hoping to see this guy's speed be something. I mean, he had some good chemistry with Richard playing with the Phantoms, and those guys were starting to click, right? But Lachenko couldn't stay in the lineup, or Richard couldn't stay in the lineup. Like those guys couldn't stay together for long enough to make any kind of difference.
Right.
You know what I mean? because both
Yeah.
of those guys
So
have speed.
somewhere along the line, you got to be able to play. And then Silent Sense here says sometimes it's not the best player available. I totally agree with you. A good example of that
Yes.
is Lafreniere.
Yes. Thank you. I agree 100%.
Lafreniere never should have went to the Rangers, especially
No.
since there really wasn't that big of a drop off to Stützle, like
No.
or Byfield. Never
Right.
should have went there. And actually, Byfield, unfortunately, shouldn't have went to LA either.
Right.
He
Well,
I don't I think he got buried there. They used him too much, especially with the coach they have right now. But I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you, Silent Sense. It's not always the best player available. It's the best player for you. And something we also have to take into consideration when these drafts happen is these players have much more control of where they're going now than they did back like 20 years ago. They simply have to go to their agents and say, look, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go here. And the agent goes to they go do their interviews, and they've already talked to the agents, and they make it quite clear they're really not wanting to join your organization. How the hell do you draft that guy?
well,
they're smart enough to be able to say, I don't want to go there.
Okay. There have only been a few of those over the years.
I don't know about that.
And now, just follow my thinking on this for a minute, Perlo. Okay, I've talked to a lot of kids that got drafted on the Prospect Watch show, including the #1 overall draft pick in Matthew Schaefer.
Right.
Okay, who went to the Islanders.
Yeah.
Right. When I interviewed him, do you think that he was going to say, yeah, I don't want to go to this team, I don't want to go to that team?
No,
almost every single player that I've talked to, that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed 9 first round draft picks just last year, right? 22 kids I interviewed, 9 of them went in the first round alone. And every one of them was like, man, I don't care who drafts me. I just want to live the dream and play on an NHL team.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
No.
It doesn't seem to pan out that way, my friends.
Right.
You go to backstories about things, the reason why they didn't select a player, and they'll say his agent said he didn't want to go there. That same player has an interview, says, oh, I'll go anywhere. But if you tell your agent, that's why they have agents for us, so they don't look bad. And get their agent to sneak it in there. And then nobody talks about it. The agent will say, don't let this get out. He says, we'd rather go somewhere else. Barzal did not want to go to Boston. That is for sure. Barzal did not want to go to Boston. And there's a reason why he didn't want to go to Boston, because they had who? Krejci and Bergeron. It's not that he didn't like Boston. It just didn't make sense for him to go there, because he was going to be buried in the third line. Seguin had the same problem. They had to trade him away. Also, there was other stuff that went with Seguin. This happens, and it's not like they're looking at their financial future, everything, like if I was Lafreniere should have said, I don't want to go, should have told his agent, I don't think it's a good idea I go to the Rangers.
Yeah, really?
Because that was a terrible spot for him. They had Kreider, they had, so I think this happens as well.
He's doing well now, and he signed a big deal now, you know what I mean? But players can have some say to a certain extent. But
if you pick them, you pick them. But I mean, if you say,
but it's more of, I think, after the fact, because I don't really think that the agents are able to necessarily go to teams and say, don't pick this guy because he doesn't want to come here and play.
What they'll probably more like than they say it more like,
well, no, but what I'm saying is
what client's going to be best for your team.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that what they might do, though, is they say, okay, if you do pick him, then this is the kind of deal that we have to work out. So he goes to play for a different team, and you guys get this, this, and this.
Or just say he probably won't sign long-term with you.
And that's the case where they can't necessarily control who picks them, but they can say, hey, we've got that 2 or 3 year window,
Yeah.
right? Where we can say, then we can go to the management and say, yeah, we really don't think this is working out for us. We really need you to put us somewhere else, or we're looking for a trade, or we're going
Yeah.
to do
I
that or
think
this
it
or
could be
that.
pre-draft. You could just say it's, there's a good chance that my client won't sign long term with you. Now the player will be, hey, I'm in the NHL, happier than hell. He's not going to be in
Exactly.
Austin. He's going
Exactly.
to come to camp and he's going to be excited to be in the NHL and all of
Right.
those sort of things like that.
Right.
For sure. No, like they're not going to be good. There's not too many guys that are going to go in and be like negative Nancy's because
No,
that's not going to happen because that's not going to
no.
help them in the long run, anyways.
Right.
But behind closed doors, when they talk to the client, I could see them. And if you're a team, you're like, okay, this guy's a better player, but it seems like it's not the city for him or whatever it is. Maybe it won't be a fit. So we have to decide within those 3-4 years, is it worth it to draft this guy, even though we're going to have to move him?
Yeah.
Or should we get a guy that's committed for the long term, even if he may not be as good? You see it all the time. People will say, well, how come they didn't draft blah, 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 draft blah, blah, blah. These backdoor things are probably the reason why.
Some of them are. I guarantee you that some of them are.
Winnipeg has a terrible time with that.
But I want to kind of circle back here or something on something, and that's this. Here we are now. Konecny is what, 29? Right?
Mm-hmm.
For the Flyers.
Yeah, 29 now. Let's get back to Konecny again.
He's played his entire career with Philadelphia. He is one of the fan favorites. I'll give you that. But he still makes game-changing mistakes that cost the team games.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And at some point, you can't overlook that anymore. It's great that you're a rah-rah guy. It's great that you got the sweater, the letter on your sweater and all that, but we need more than 2% defense from you. And I agree with you 100%, Perlo. And honestly, I would try to do whatever they could to get whatever they could for him, because I think it's going to be better for him.
I do.
And I think it's going to be better for the Flyers.
I agree.
Because it's going to open up a position for another younger guy to come in, like a Porter Martone, to come in and still be able to keep some of the other guys, like your Tyson Forsters, like your Owen Tippett's, like your Noah Cates, and that kind of stuff, right? So I'm okay if I lose Konecny, and frankly, I'm okay if I get a second round pick for him.
Oh no, I'd want to get more than that. You got to get some shit. You got to get some stuff for that guy. He's
okay. A second round pick, but I'm also gonna need a player and a grade A prospect.
Yes. I want grade A prospects that are ready to play or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
sure.
But I don't think you're going to get a second round
top prospect or something,
or a first round for him.
I think you can. I think you can.
All right, maybe
you get a first and a prospect. The goaltender score. There are teams that need scoring so bad out there that I think you could.
Yeah, and Philadelphia's one of them.
Yeah, I know, but long term that can,
Yeah, no, I know.
Long term they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to do that.
Yeah. No.
I mean, if you want to get like wingers are the easiest thing to replace, right? Like,
right.
It's the whole point is you got to get yourself a center, and you've got to cut a couple. Try to find a way to get traded to a team like, say, Columbus Blue Jackets, who are barely in a playoff position but are desperate to make the playoffs, and get that first round pick and hope that they miss the playoffs. And now you're looking in somewhere in the 12 or 13 range. There's number one centers that are picked in those spots. You can find them and draft that. And then you want to fill that right side. You want to get leadership. I think you can find that outside the organization to come in. and that are a guy that's like happy to come in and be a mentor on his way out of his career. Maybe he's looking for some coaching opportunities afterwards or something like that, like a Jordan Eberle or somebody like that can still pot him and are also good three zone players that can help these kids grow up and be the type of players that a guy like Rick Tocchet or that's going to give that organization an identity moving forward and help those kids grow. You got Forster. I still think Forster is going to be a 30-35 goal scorer down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully this year they fall off quite a bit and they can get a really nice pick, but I don't know. But I think that's something that has to be done. However, I really do think they have to get a significant return. I wouldn't want to trade him for a second or something like that. I'd want to get a significant return back. They moved Michkov before him. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sitting here.
all Michkov has to do is get in shape.
I just wanted to check something here real quick. I'm going to some of my resources here, and I just want to see what, because there's, look, this coming draft 26 is heavy offensive draft. Okay. And I don't think yeah, probably not. But when you look at the list of potential offense that's going to be available in this draft, Tynan Lawrence being one of them, Gavin McKinnon being another one. Okay, now
He's really struggled since his injury, though, Tynan Lawrence. I was
actually he was shipped up to Boston, and
yeah.
I thought he played really well in the Beanpot. I watched that. I thought he played really well there. But
Okay.
you got some guys that are on the list here that uh Malhotra, Caleb Malhotra is
I
playing for
love
the
Malhotra. Love that
yeah,
guy. That's what
right?
you're talking. That's the guy I'm targeting if I'm in that top 7 range, if you can get it. But I think he's going to go higher.
Well,
I know they want offense, but I love that Schmitz kid too. Jeez, that kid.
and that kid from Vigo Bjorchek.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, Belichick.
Yeah.
Huge 6'3" power forward guy that puts up good offense.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of enticing. Though some of those players are only going to be a couple years away, and I'm not opposed to getting free agents to fill out this roster, so it's still competitive. But I just think you can find a better leader than Konecny. Now, Steven Jackson says, I don't think management is even fathoming the idea of trading Konecny. And you know what? I don't doubt you're correct there. All of this stuff we're talking about, and I would not doubt that they're just simply going to keep status quo, get their draft picks, and try to fill in free agents and do what they're going to do. But I'm just saying that if it's me, I'm not doing that.
I can see why a lot of, and even a lot of Flyers fans, and look, I do a weekly show called the Hockey Writers Inc., where I sit down with Russ Cohen, who covers the team professionally, like gets paid to cover the team.
Yeah.
And him and I see eye to eye on a lot of things when it comes to the Flyers. And this absolutely sounds like a perfect Danny Briere type move, where it would be something to not only help the team now, but help the team down the road, because Danny Briere's come out and said that, we're in the process of trying to rebuild this team, but we're also trying to win now. I don't think that you can do that. You can't rebuild and win now because there's a huge talent gap there with the Flyers, and you're not going to be able to bring enough guys in you have to draft the guys. Okay, so yeah, that's great. You're going to have cap space, but who is really going to be available, and are you going to be able to bring them here to Philadelphia?
Yeah. I think that could be a little bit of hyperbole too. He could be saying we want to win, we want to really win now because no management wants to say anything other than that, and
No,
they
I agree.
still yeah. So I don't know if that's and they kind of are like you still want to be competitive and you want to compete and you want to get better and all of those sort of things like that, and you have to go with the flow on that. But so you said that was it Russ Cohen that you said
Yeah, yeah.
was he on this Konechny train too? Because I'm afraid I didn't
I
see.
don't know. I don't think he. We never talked about this. We never discussed anything about trading Konechny. We just have discussed on the show, the Hockey Writers Inc., about this team still needs more years. They still need to draft more players. They still need to be able to hit on more of the draft picks that they are getting. Danny Briere has been really like last year. He had a lot of picks that he was able to amass 2 first rounds, 3 second rounds. And quite frankly, I think he wasted some of them with the Jet Lachenko and then the one he had at the end of the first round there with the Edmonton Oilers and then traded back to get another second round pick. And then, I mean, first round picks are few and far, they don't come by very easily, and to just really I really think they kind of dropped the ball in the draft in 25
A lot of
because
scouts I said that those late first weren't much better than the seconds of that draft was pretty shallow. And so I don't know. We'll find
but what
out.
I'm saying is
But what
that
they
you
did
could
is
have
they just got
used
size and they didn't get much skill to go with it last year.
but you
They got
could have
pure.
used those 2 spare first round draft picks to move up.
No, nobody wanted to move. No, nobody wanted to move down. That was a problem. The Islanders tried all they could to move up, and nobody wanted to move down because the draft was considered thin, so nobody wanted to move down. That was a problem. But we'll see what those draft picks turn into. I think that's going to turn out to be one of the weakest drafts we've seen in years. So we'll see how that turns out. But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, they said they're not even considering the idea of moving Konechny right now. It's very possible that that's the case. It's possible
Yeah, that's
he's frustrated, but still is behind the Flyers and wants to
yeah,
continue
and
moving forward and all those sort of things like that. That's possible too.
right,
This
and
was
that's
more
something that we've
about
been
the
talking about.
direction I think I would go. I still think they're going to get more than a second round pick for Konechny. You're going to get a good package for him, especially right now. It's a seller's market right now.
Okay, so then you were talking about trading him in the summer,
Yeah, I
but
still think it's going to be a seller's market.
okay.
Even more so because all of these teams that are trying to get better are going to have cap space coming out of their yin yang because the cap space is there. So they're going to be buyers. As soon as free agency, they grab their free agents and everything, there's going to be buyers out there. They're going to be looking for offensive players like Konechny. So you wouldn't be getting him in this draft. It'd be the draft after that or just before the draft, one of the two, if you can do it that way as well. But there's going to be a lot of, and like I said, you maybe they do that. Maybe they get a player that can play right now, a player that can play a number one pick, so the other team doesn't have to take on the full cap space. I mean, there's lots of ways you could do it, but yeah, I agree with you as well. They got to hit. It doesn't matter how many draft picks are if you don't hit. It don't matter. Somebody
And they haven't.
Silent Sens here said that defense. I do think they need help with defense as well. I do. Like if they get I wouldn't be crying if they got Verhoff or Schmidt in the draft.
No. Those would
Not
be
at all.
great.
That would be fantastic.
I was kind of hoping that they were going to pick Kayshawn Aitchison last year in the
Yeah,
draft. Okay. And they very easily could have. They very easily could have taken him. And he would be able to be that shutdown defenseman that you're looking for.
yeah.
Okay. right hand shot, shutdown defenseman, has offensive upside, but
Yeah.
for the most part is a shutdown defenseman.
I don't know why people passed on Aitchison. I mean, I've heard things from scouts that they say, but um, I don't know. They
The
say
only
that
knock on
they
him,
say
I'll tell you
something
what,
that they don't think is he gets away too much with his size in junior, and it's not going to translate into the NHL very well. That's what they say. But I mean, I look at this kid and I see the skill to go with that size. It's hard for me to relate to what they're saying. Like he looks at the very least like an Alexiak, maybe, or something like that. I mean, what's wrong with that? Yeah,
I
like
mean, I see him as a second pairing.
yeah,
Okay. And frankly, when you have a guy like that is a shutdown guy,
yeah.
I mean,
In a weak draft, you let him fall all the way to the Islanders. Something
that's what I
seems
mean,
weird.
right? And not only that, you let Jackson Smith fall then too to the Islanders. So that is two massive defensemen that you could have picked up that you didn't.
I think Jackson Smith got into the Columbus. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, he went to
Yeah.
Columbus. Yeah, you said the
Right.
Islanders, but you
No,
meant
no,
Columbus.
no. Islanders took Aitchison and uh uh Columbus took Jackson Smith.
Jackson, yeah. You said Islanders. You misspoke there. That's all. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
that's all
Let
right.
me
I,
let me
I
correct.
understood what you were
Let
saying,
me
but I wanted to make
rephrase.
sure everybody knew that. Yeah, yeah.
Let me correct and let me
I do it
rephrase.
all the time, so don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I just wanted
Okay.
to.
Right. Kayshawn Aitchison. But I interviewed both of these kids. I interviewed Jackson Smith and I interviewed Kayshawn Aitchison. And that's
Yeah,
why I thought that the Flyers would be a really good fit for Aitchison because he just has black and orange written all over him.
yeah,
Okay. Because of how he plays defense. And quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, his only knock is his offense. They would like for him to be more offensive, but it's just not there. And I don't think that's going to translate into the NHL game. But I think he's learned to use his size to his advantage. And I think that's going to translate. I really, really do, especially with talking with him and seeing where he is with his conditioning, seeing where he is with his training and the drills that he's working on and things like that. I really think his game is going to translate into the NHL. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to take a couple years because he's a defenseman. You know what I mean? He's
mhm.
going to take a couple years, but I think in the end, I think the Islanders got a heck of a pick. I would have much rather seen him in orange and black if I had my druthers. But
Yeah.
you know,
All right. Well, we've been talking for a while here. It's probably good time to shut her down. We had somebody here say that you should do a free agent show. You know what? I got such a good response here. I actually may jump on and start doing more shows like this on here
dude.
because I love doing. This
Yeah.
this is what I love to do. I love talking hockey. I love my capping too. Don't get me wrong. Still gonna do my.
Right.
I love my handicapping too. But I think I'm going to jump on. I love the response we got from the chat. It was fantastic. But this what makes my heart go pitter patter when I'm talking about NHL teams and what they're doing and where they're going and where the trades are happening and blah 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 blah. And talking all my throwing out a bunch of stuff and then finding out I'm right or wrong later. I love it.
That's well, actually, Puck in Deep has been quite the prognostications.
Yes,
because if you go back 2 shows to the Anteri Panarin show, where we spent a time just like this talking about Panarin going to the LA Kings, and the very next day,
they went to the
Anteri
LA
Panarin
Kings.
traded to the LA Kings.
Yeah, I was absolutely positive he was going to the LA Kings.
Right?
All the other stuff was a bunch of flowery stuff that didn't
But
matter.
it made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely made perfect sense. And the guy that the Rangers got back in return, Liam Greentree, is a Prospect Watch alum. I interviewed him. They got a really good player in return.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Panarin, but it's still a good player. It's a
good player.
It's an A+ prospect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of things. We predicted the Toronto Maple Leafs to miss the playoffs, although that hasn't happened yet. But
Well,
there's
but
certainly
it's kind of a foregone
struggling.
conclusion.
The Detroit Red Wings to make the playoffs. Remember, we did the show and I
Yeah,
said
we
that
talked
I
about
think
that. Yep.
when I did the show and I said Patrick Waz could drag the Islanders into the playoffs, even though I'm not really a fan of the overall team. I said Patrick Waz is a great coach and he's going to bring them there. And look, where are they right now?
And look at
So,
what they're doing, man.
yeah.
Horvath is having a phenomenal season, and you're seeing another prospect watch alum and Matthew Schaefer leading all defensemen, leading
Yeah.
all rookies. I mean,
Mhm.
come on, dude.
Right. All right, we could go all night. Got to cut her off. So, Ron, tell them about you're talking about Prospect Watch. I'm telling them about everything to do with RNG
Yeah, man.
Media. Again, I'll put it in the chat here. R
Awesome. Thank you.
RNJ Media Sports. Search that, Google that, because we do shows on my channel and Matt channel. We also, of course, do shows with the great one, Lyle Richardson.
That's right.
Absolutely. So tell them all about it.
Yeah, man, you got to head on over to the RJ Media Sports YouTube channel where you get to watch shows like Puck and Deep, and then you also get to check out this show right here called Prospect Watch, where I interview top prospects from all over the land. They're not necessarily household names yet, but I assure you they soon will be, especially after I interview them. I've interviewed kids like Tynan Lawrence. I've interviewed kids like Mikey Burchild. So I mean, those are just some of the kids that I've done this year. Daxon Rudolph, he's going to be another top round draft pick this coming draft as well, too, defenseman. So be sure to go check that out. Follow us on X at RNJ_media. Check out the YouTube channel. Follow, like, and subscribe, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you to Perlo for all you do, man. You got to go check out the Ice Guys. This guy is part of the best North American sports betting podcast on the planet. Go check him out with the Ice Guys, man. Thank you very much for having me on, brother.
Yeah. And somebody put a little side note here about talking about Marner and him going to be bad in the playoffs. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. In fact, I want to talk about that next time.
Yeah, let's do that next.
All right. That's a good one. Silas says. Yeah. Perlo's NHL POW is my Twitter. If you haven't gone there, go subscribe to it. You can get all of our content. Of course, tomorrow night, we'll be doing our continuation of the Olympics betting, which we did very well so far this season on. And you can get that at Rico and Perlo's House of Jaime's Exotic NHL Picks Frolic. Woo! Hit the title, right? And you can find that on my Twitter as well. Follow Exotic Wagers. We do some of the shows on his show. And yes, I'm on the Ice Guys. The first day back into the regular season is a Wednesday. I'm on Monday and Wednesday. So I'll be on the Ice Guys there. Voted, like Ron said, the best NHL betting podcast in North America. Still top of the board today. It's an awesome, watch it every day. But I'm on Monday and Wednesdays. And you can catch me on there. Also, do yourself a favor if you like doing the wager stuff. Get into my community group, because after the Olympics, I've got something special going out for people. And you just go to my profile, Perlo's NHL POW. There's a highlighted community group on my profile. Just hit it, answer the little question that's there, and you'll get in, and you won't be disappointed with the benefits.
No, you won't. You got to go check that out, man, for sure.
I'll check it out. All right. That's my full 42, buddy. That's all I got to give. I wish I had more than 42, but I only have 42. But I do give 100% of that 42 to you, boys and girls. So catch you next time on Puck and Deep.